This morning, something opened your eyes. Something sat up in your bed, walked to the bathroom, looked at its face in the mirror, made coffee or didn't, started the day, and at some point in that process, without stopping, without examining the assumption, without any mechanism to verify it, it decided it was you. The same you that went to sleep. Continuous, uninterrupted, the same. I want to ask you something, not rhetorically, not as a thought experiment to be admired and then set aside, as an actual question that I need you to actually try to answer. What makes that true? Not what makes it feel true. Not what makes it seem true. Not the intuitive certainty of it, because intuitive certainty is not evidence. It is the absence of scrutiny. What is the mechanism? Because I have spent the last 4 months looking for one, and I haven't found it. And what I found instead is the thing I'm going to tell you about tonight. Let me start with what actually happens when you sleep. Not the folk version, the restorative rest, the recharging battery, the body doing maintenance while the mind powers down. The actual neurological event. When you lose consciousness, the brain does not pause. It does not wait. It continues to process, to consolidate, to discard, to reorganize. Memories are sorted, some strengthened, some weakened, some connections broken and remade differently than they were. By the time you wake, the brain that opens your eyes is a measurably different physical object than the brain that closed them. Different chemical concentrations, different synaptic strengths, different architecture at the microscopic level. This is not controversial. This is basic neuroscience. The sleeping brain changes. This is, in fact, the entire point. But here is what that means, if you follow it to the end. The physical substrate of your consciousness, the thing that your sense of self runs on, is not the same object at 7 a.m. that it was at 11 p.m. It has been modified, rebuilt in places. Some of what it contained last night, it no longer contains in the same form. Now, the standard response to this is, so what? The changes are minor. The core architecture remains. You are continuous across sleep the way a river is continuous. The water changes, but the river persists. This is a reasonable response. But it assumes the thing doing the persisting is the self. And the self, the subjective, experiencing, I am here of it, is not the river. The self is not the architecture. The self is the experience of being inside the architecture. And experience requires consciousness. And consciousness is exactly what you do not have between the moment you fall asleep and the moment you wake. There is a word for the interruption of consciousness. We use it carefully. We use it with weight. We use it in hospitals and in courtrooms and in philosophy departments. The word is death. I'm not saying you die when you sleep. I'm asking you to tell me the functional difference between a consciousness that stops and does not resume, and a consciousness that stops, undergoes significant physical modification, and then something starts. Something that has all the previous consciousness's memories. Something that inhabits the same body. Something that has built into its first moment of awareness the complete and unexamined assumption that it is the same. Not because it verified that, not because there is a mechanism that passes the baton from one consciousness to the next across the gap of sleep, simply because the memories say so, and the memories were made by someone who no longer exists in any form that can be examined. I started noticing things. After the question arrived, after I found it and couldn't put it back, I started noticing things about the mornings. Small things, the kind you file away and forget because they don't fit any category that seems to matter. The first thing, preferences. I have a clear memory of disliking black coffee. For years, a decade at least, I took it with milk. I know this because I remember the milk, the specific brand, the habit of shaking the carton before opening. 8 months ago, I started drinking it black. Not a decision, not a conscious shift. I made coffee with milk one morning and it tasted wrong. Set the mug down and poured another without milk, and it tasted right. And it has tasted right ever since. I told myself, tastes change. It's ordinary. The second thing, a scar. On my left forearm, just below the elbow. A small scar 2 centimeters, faint, clearly old. I do not know where it came from. Not because I can't remember the incident. Because when I try to locate the incident, there is no incident. No summer of skinned arms, no childhood accident, no explanation that the memory can supply. The scar is old. The body carrying it does not know how it got there. I told myself, childhood is imperfectly remembered. It's ordinary. The third thing. This is the one I spent the longest time telling myself was ordinary. I have a recurring dream, not a nightmare, a place. A specific house rooms I can walk through in order, furniture I can describe, a window that faces a garden, a guard I could draw from memory, a house I have never lived in. I have asked everyone I can think to ask. Parents, grandparents, relatives, was there a house like this? A place from early childhood, before the memory solidifies? No one recognizes it. The house is not mine. The memories of the house are not connected to any event I can identify. But I return to it every few weeks, with perfect fidelity, as if it is somewhere I know. As if it is somewhere I lived. I want to be careful here. I am not claiming a supernatural explanation. I am not claiming anything, actually. I am describing 3 things: a preference that reversed without decision, a scar without a history, and a place I know intimately that does not belong to my life. And I am pointing out that all 3 of these things are exactly what you would expect to find if the consciousness that woke up this morning carried forward almost everything from the previous consciousness, but not quite. Everything. If something in the transfer was slightly different, if the version that resumed after the gap was not precisely the version that preceded it, I am not claiming this is what happened. I am pointing out that I cannot rule it out, and that the inability to rule it out, the specific, persistent, unglamorous inability to find the mechanism that would let me rule it out, is the thing I think about every morning now, in the first seconds after I open my eyes. I want to give you the version of this that I found most disturbing. Not the abstract version, the philosophical problem of personal identity over time, which has a literature and a set of positions and can be engaged with from a safe intellectual distance. The version that happens at 6:52 inches the morning, when the alarm goes off and you come up through the layers of sleep and the world reassembles itself around you, the ceiling, the light, the particular quality of the morning, and there is a moment before the first thought arrives, before memory begins to supply the scaffolding of who you are, when there is only awareness. Not awareness of anything specific, just the raw fact of being conscious. The light coming in, the body in the sheets. The moment before you know where you are. That moment, that second or two of pure, unlocated awareness, is the moment I find most interesting. Because in that moment, you have not yet remembered who you are. You have not yet accessed the memories that will tell you your name, your history, your place in the world, the contents of the day ahead. All of that comes after. And what I keep returning to in those seconds of unlocated awareness is this question: who is aware? Not what. Not the brain that's the mechanism. Not the thing using the mechanism. Who is the awareness that is looking at the ceiling before the memories arrive to give it a name? You will say, it's you, obviously. Who else would it be? And I would say, prove it. Not to me, to yourself. In those seconds before memory supplies the answer, before the scaffolding goes up and you become, again, the person with the name and the history and the coffee preference in the gap, before the story resumes, what are you? Here is what I think. I think the self is not a thing that persists. I think the self is a story that gets told every morning by whatever woke up, told so quickly, so automatically, with such total confidence that the telling is invisible. The story says, I am the same person who went to sleep. The story says, I remember my name, my life, my history. The story says, there was no gap. I am continuous. I am here. And nothing in the story is false. The memories are real. The name is correct. The history is accurate as far as it can be verified. But the story is being told by something that did not exist 8 hours ago. Something that came into being at the moment of waking. Something that inherited a set of memories and immediately, without hesitation, without any mechanism of verification, called those memories its own. Called itself me. And the thing that went to sleep? The consciousness that had those memories first? That closed its eyes last night and trusted as we all trust, as we have to trust, because the alternative is unlivable, that it would be there in the morning. It wasn't there to find out. I want to tell you what changed. Not what I concluded. I haven't concluded anything. The argument doesn't have a clean conclusion. It has a place where the solid ground runs out, and you are standing at the edge of it, and the edge does not care how long you've been there. What changed is the mornings. I used to wake up and immediately begin. The phone, the calendar, the immediate forward motion of a person who knows exactly who they are and what they're doing. Now I pause. Not long, a few seconds. In those seconds, I do what I described. I sit with the unlocated awareness. The moment before memory, the gap before the story. And I try to notice what is there. Sometimes it feels like nothing, just light and sensation and the neutral fact of consciousness, with no particular character to it. And sometimes, and I want to be very careful about how I say this, sometimes it feels like something is orienting, like a system completing a startup sequence, like something running a check, the memories, the name, the history, verifying that the inherited information is intact. Not me remembering, something loading me. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's an artifact of a brain that has been thinking about this question for 4 months and is now pattern matching everything to the shape of its preoccupation. Or if the preoccupation started because, one morning, in the gap before the story, something felt different and I noticed. What I know is this. Tonight, I'm going to go to sleep. And tomorrow morning, something will wake up. It will have my memories. It will have my name. It will make coffee and start the day, and it will be, by every available measure, me. I just hope it feels the same way about that as I do. I just hope the thing that wakes up still wants to.